What's up, world? What's up, world? What's up, world? It's been a long time since I've been on camera. Wow, and it feels good. It feels good. Happy Monday, everybody. I'm Tavares Jones. For those of you who may not remember, right? Of course, this is
Hyacinth Henderson.
and Heisey just got licensed, you guys, right? She just got her mortgage broker license.
Mortgage loan originator.
She just became a mortgage loan originator, right? And I actually stopped doing the show with Antonio because I was studying for the same license, right? So now we're both licensed in the mortgage industry. So we decided to, well, actually, Heisey decided to. It was her idea to create a show called Mortgage Minded Mondays, right? So that's what we're going to be doing weekly, Mortgage Minded Mondays. And we're going to come to have a mortgage infused conversation to educate you guys on the details, the ups and downs, the behind the curtains of mortgages, different types of mortgages, and mortgage strategies, right? Just to prepare you guys and to educate you guys and enhance you guys from top to bottom in this industry called mortgages. And it's good to be back, right? Thanks a lot for the idea, Heisey. And yeah.
I had not realized, first of all, thank you so much for a wonderful introduction. You did a phenomenal, amazing job, especially after being gone for so long. I had not realized that you had been gone for a long time.
Yeah.
Like you did quit the show. You did quit the people.
No, I put it on pause. It was yeah, I just put it on pause.
How long ago was that though?
November.
Wow.
November last year.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
Almost a year. And so you're back. How does it feel?
It feels good. It feels good. It's kind of like riding a bicycle, I think. You know, it's like when you run into an old friend, right? So let's say you're in Publix and you know you picking out tomatoes or sweet potatoes or something like that, and then you look up and you see somebody that you knew from a long time ago. You're like, man, that looked like Kanitha, right? And you're like, oh, that is her, right? And you just go over and you just recoup the conversation and
pick up where you left off.
Right.
Yeah, going out to dinner now, traveling and stuff.
Right.
Kanika, if that's you, he thinking about you.
If she's single, if she's single.
It's a very specific name. Just saying, Kanika. So I did get licensed, and what a ride. Let's just say that. What a ride. And the reason that I got licensed is because I love educating. I love educating. I love helping people. I love encouraging people. I love empowering people. For those of you who watch the show, you may be able to tell that. And let's do a quick rewind. We are the Henderson Financial Group. The name of our firm is the Henderson Financial Group. We are a full service financial planning and investment advisory firm. We are based in sunny South Florida. Been in business for over 30 years, www.thehendersonfinancialgroup.com. And so every week on Facebook, we have several shows. I could do a show with my dad. On Instagram, I'm just always educating. And so outside of social media and the internet, people actually call the office. Like people are like, why are you getting licensed? I'm like, people come to me for answers. And I don't like to speak on what I don't know. And so many years ago, I was licensed as a mortgage broker is what they called it then, but now it's called MLO, Mortgage Loan Originator. And for me to educate, I wanted to properly educate, and I could not do that without me first educating myself. And so I said the best way for me to educate myself and be abreast on everything that has changed, the laws and things like that as it relates to mortgages, I need to get the license. And I don't really have time to get the license, but I got to get the license because I want to educate, because people need the education, because we need to help the people. So it was this one big circle. Here I am now licensed. So today, the Monday show is Mortgage Minded Mondays, and it's specifically about education. Yes, we do mortgages in-house. We also are going to talk about real estate. The reason why it was the day I passed my exam, right? On Thursday, it immediately came to me because when I knew that this was education for me. This was about education. I was fired up to educate. And I said, hey, T, what's up? You want to do Mortgage Minded Mondays? Because people call here with questions.
It came right out the same day she passed her exam.
Same hours.
Yeah, it came right out, and I wasn't expecting it because when I passed my exam, the last thing I was thinking about was mortgages. Right, honestly, I wanted some rest. I wanted to chill out. Right, but she just spit it out. That's something that she genuinely likes to do, is to educate. Right, and she likes to be in front of the lights and the cameras and stuff like that. That's also.
I don't know about that part. I like to educate, but I like to be educated and educate. I feel like education is my secret weapon.
Okay, I don't know if it's a secret, but
It's my weapon. Like
Okay.
right now, I have braids down to my ankles, and I can do
Mhm.
that because I'm educated. You know what I mean? I'm like, judge me if you want to, but let's
Right.
talk about this.
Right.
You know? So that's for me. That's my. I don't know if you. It's not a secret, but anyway, let's get into today's topic because I read an article over the weekend, and it was paraphrasing. It was talking about younger folks, millennials, Generation Z's, younger folks feeling like they would never be able to buy a house
Mm-hmm.
because of the price of houses
Mm-hmm.
and interest rates.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I read the article, I said, this is not much different than certain posts I hear,
Right.
see on social media,
media, right.
certain things people say when they call us.
Right.
And I'm like, dang, how discouraging is that?
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because I didn't read the article, but I hear it from so many other people, right? When you step out into social environments, right? And you hear people that want to buy a house. So I'm 33 years old. My younger brother is 30 years old. So he went to college and got his master's and all that stuff. And sometimes I would hang out with him and his friends. And since they've graduated and they're entering their careers and things of that nature, the next step for them is to purchase a home. And since I'm a bit older than them and, you know, I have some financial knowledge, they'll come and say, hey, T, like, is this possible? Or like, you know, when you purchased a home, like what did you have to go through? And, am I going to be able to afford that? Right. After I purchase a home, would I be able to buy a car? Because I do want to buy a Ferrari. I do want to buy, a nice, car to go with the house. How does this whole thing work? And then I got my girl, right? She might be pregnant, you know what I'm saying? Or she already had a kid and we thinking about having another kid. So how does this whole thing come together, right? How do you make it work and still be able to survive, right? So I guess I didn't see the article, but just having that conversation come up in so many different areas, even in the barbershop, right? It comes up and people have questions, right? And we got answers.
We have answers.
We got answers.
Yeah. And we're talking about younger generations today. But let me also add, it's not exclusive to the younger generation.
That's true.
People who call here and they are over 50 and they've never purchased a house, or maybe they purchased a house and they sold it or they lost it and they now want to purchase a house again, are feeling like they cannot purchase a house. And as we know, real estate is something that most people view or value as a way to build and transfer wealth. So we don't want to see you all feel discouraged because of what's happening right now with home prices, because of what's happening right now with interest rates. Because I'm always reminded, I can't believe I look up and I'm like, the pandemic, right? The lockdown. And I'm saying now, I'm whispering so that they don't flag my the video, post, but it was 3 years ago. Remember, there was a lot of stuff we couldn't do 3 years ago that we can do now. Couldn't
go outside at all.
We couldn't go outside. So when we talk about housing and buying a house and things like that, and we talk about interest rates, the question becomes, and this is where the education comes is interest rates. Yes, they are higher now, but do we feel like they're always going to be this high?
And they are higher now, and they're just higher than what we used to, right? And I feel like in 2020, 3 years ago, there was lots of people speaking about interest rates because they were so low, right? They were like 2-point-something percent, 3% was a high interest rate in 2020, just 3 years ago. But in the 80s, right? Because Mr. Henderson never lets us forget this at all. He got his mortgage. He got his real estate license in, was it 1979?
His first license, real estate license.
Right, in 1979. And in like early 80s, they raised the mortgage rates to like 18% or something like that. It was over 10%, right? And right now we're still below 10%. So mortgage rates have been not only where they are now, they've been a whole lot higher than where they are now, almost double, right? And guess what? They made their way down. So life it's a movie, right? It's not a snapshot. So we're at a 7.5% rate roughly right now, but it won't stay there. It won't maintain in that space, right? Because things keep happening, right? Things are in motion, right? And just as things are in motion, you have to have your brain in motion too. You don't want your brain to be stuck, right? Because once your brain is stuck, that can cause some unnecessary issues with yourself. Like you get the panic and you get the anxiety and stuff like that, but you just want to be calm and be cool and just continue to educate yourself. And just, that's why we wanted to have this show as well. So we can give you guys some pointers on what to do in the meantime and in between time.
And to plan. I love that. The pointers and plan. And so one of my top 2 things that I always tell people who want to buy a house is you need to look at your cash and your credit. So it doesn't matter what home prices are doing. It doesn't matter what interest rates are doing. It does not matter. If your cash and your credit are not in order, why are you even worried about the interest rates? You're not ready right now. If tomorrow they wake up and they say, you know what, I bad, we taking rates back down to 2.5.
Yeah.
You get a mortgage 2.5. Are you ready?
Yeah. And that right there is key, right? Cash and credit, right? The 2 C's, right? You can't go wrong with those 2. And if you're not ready right now, you have time, right? We can give you a rubric. We can give you a game plan. You want to do that today? Or you want to for future
however
shows?
You want to do it. We'll have, if we say it today, we'll say it again next time, because repetition is key.
Okay. And it's funny because someone just called the office earlier today and he wanted to go over a budget, right? He's already a client. He has IULs and stock accounts and all that good stuff, right? But he just feels like he wants to enhance his budget and his income and his expenses and stuff like that so he can continue to grow. So he asked me to go over a budget with him or create a budget for him. And yeah, so it's something that we can do. And budget is really important, right? So a lot of people like to steer far away from that word. A lot of people are fearful of that word because when you think budget, you think restriction, right? And you don't want to be restricted, right? You making the money, you going out to work every day, you talking to your clients every day, you servicing your clients every day. The last thing you want to do is be restrictive when you get paid, right? And I get it 1,000%, but you want to keep your eyes on the prize. You know what I'm saying? Harriet Tubman, when she was freeing slaves, right? She there was a lot of instances in between slavery and freedom where she was like, man, a lot of sacrifices had to be made to make a long story short, right? And so you just keep your eyes on that North Star, and the North Star is being a homeowner, and it has so many benefits. Once you cross that threshold, you have so many benefits and so many things that you can do with equity. And I don't want to go too far because that can be details for shows to come, right?
Well, I want to go a little bit deeper and talk about how the numbers look, because we're talking about your need to have your cash and credit. So we started this show with telling you, first of all, the way that the conditions are now, they're not going to be that way forever. You need to be making a plan now for tomorrow.
Yes.
In order for you to be prepared in the future, you have to do something right now in the present. And a lot of times we miss that. And then what we'll do is we'll end up staying stuck on the wheel of complaining. And, oh, one day I'm going to do it. I'm should have do it. I could have, would it. I want to do it. I'm finna, right?
Yeah.
Kanye West voice. You still get stuck in that cycle of I'm finna because you haven't blocked out all the noise of, oh, the rates are high. The home prices are this. You haven't blocked that out. But if you shift your focus and focus on your cash and your credit and then say, okay, Tavares and Hyacinth said, let me focus on my cash and credit. First of all, when is the last time you pulled your credit report? Because you can get it for free every year. The low price of FREE credit report, not credit score. You can get your credit report for free at annualcreditreport.com. Now, interesting enough, during the pandemic, they allowed you to get a free report every single month during the pandemic. They said instead of just doing it once a year, you can get it for free every month. But now you can get it for free unless they've changed it back, at least monthly. And why is this important? Because while you are blocking out the noise about pricing and all of this stuff that really has this, like, that's not your focus right now. It's not in front of you. While you're blocking that out, you can be focusing on, okay, what's on my credit? What do I need to do to prepare for my credit? And then after you do that, you make a plan, because if you don't have a plan, then you're just wishing. You think your goal is to buy a house, but they say a goal without a plan is just a wish.
A wish or a dream.
Yeah. And one day I'm gonna, and you haven't planned for it. So the first stop is to look at your credit. The second is to look at our cash.
Yes.
And can we talk about cash reserves?
Oh my God. So your bank statements, right? So when you acquire a loan, you're going to have to submit bank statements, right? And your bank statements are going to be sent in to an underwriter, someone that does not know you from a can of paint. They're just going to look at your bank statements and other documents you submit, of course, to make a decision, right? To restrict you from this mortgage or to approve you for this mortgage, right? Or to accept it. So your bank statements are going to tell a story, right? And at the very top of your bank statement, you have deposits for the month, and you have subtractions or withdrawals for the month, or how much you spent, right? And then there's a number below that where they total that number out. Some numbers are in the deficit, some numbers are on the green. So you definitely want a positive number, right? But your positive number, you want that to be a decent amount, right? I would say, let's just say 10% to be on the safe side. And then also your deposits that's coming into your account, For large deposits, you have to explain that. So if you got a deposit of over $5,000, that's not your direct deposit. You'll have to provide documentation or information on where these funds came from. They call it tracing, right? You have to trace the money to avoid like anti-money laundering and stuff like that. So, and a lot of times bank statements can be a mess in all honesty. And I get it, because some people don't prepare their bank statement like they're trying to buy a house, right? But if you watch this show, you can have a bank statement that's strictly for, I'm going to purchase my home, and this is the bank statement I'm going to submit to the underwriter. You can have a completely different account, to run your life, and pay your bills, whatever you want to do. You can just have a bank statement where you're saving, you just add money to that account. And that's where the down payment is going to come from. You can send that to the underwriter, and it'll just show you transferring funds from a checking account to this savings account. And this savings account can be nicknamed My Future Home, right? And that can be the document that you submit, and it'll just be clean to underwriting, get you an easy pass. You have that along with a great credit score. Well, I'm not even going to say a great credit score. If you follow Heisen, where you check your credit report annually, and you get to see what's on your credit report, and you say, you know what, take this off, take that off, and let me correct that. So you have a clean credit report and you have a clean bank statement. You're on your way. You're definitely on your way.
When you said clean bank statement,
yeah,
let me tell y'all about these bank statements, okay?
Yeah.
When he said clean bank statement, I heard have some clean draws. Because when it comes time for people to give you their bank statements, oh my God, it's like you asking them to get naked. People don't want to give because you know what? The bank statement shows everything you're doing, not what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
You say you want to buy a house, but you swiping, you tapping that money coming out at Chick-fil-A 50 times a month.
Yeah.
That money's coming out at the mall.
Yeah.
You're transferring. That bank statement?
Yeah.
If you really want to get your life together,
yeah,
just print out your bank statements right now. Don't look at it on the app. Just right now, after this show, print out your July bank statement and go through that thing line by line, and then you're going to clutch your pearls and be like, wait, hold on. I didn't realize, because oftentimes human nature is, I have this amount in my balance, so I'm doing okay. But when you look and you itemize it and you start fine-tooth combing it, then you're like, oh, wait, I don't really want to try to see this.
Right.
So Tavares, that was a great tip when you said, child, just open up a whole nother account. Just open up another account, so you don't want to see them skid marks in your drawers.
Yeah.
just no, this is my home account. So when I get ready to buy a house, I'm gonna give these statements with no problem, because I know these drawers is fresh out the pack.
There you go. You go. Uh-huh.
But the key to that is now it's causing you to be more disciplined. I love that you said name the account, my home buying account. This is one of the activities that I have my clients do when we're doing budgeting work, because listen, your money is always gonna have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
It's always gonna tell you, it is no shortage on where to spend your money. It's no shortage on where to spend your money. But if you name your accounts, and you name this account my home buying account, and when you get ready to transfer money from your checking, or you get ready to tap and swipe site, you're going to see that home buying account sitting up there, and a little voice inside is going to say, remember you wanted to buy a house?
Oh yeah.
When's the last time you transferred money to this account?
Right.
You getting ready to transfer money to this retailer. You getting ready to transfer money to this airline. You getting ready to Zelle some money. When is the last time you transferred money over here? And so that was a great tip, Tavares, when you say create a home buying account and then have those clean bank statements, because the underwriter is going to go through it with the fine-tooth comb. And then what happens is bank statements can open up doors to other questions. Before, you didn't put this on the application. It wasn't a cause for application. But now, since we submitted this bank statement with all these skid marks in here, we want to know, well, what's going on? You got diarrhea? You can't hold your bowels?
There you go.
Why you got all this? The underwriter's like, what you doing here? Explain this, and this, right?
Yep. And that prolongs the loan, right?
Yep.
So when you're trying to close, if you found the house that you want to purchase, right? Yep. And you got all these people submitting offers because it's a housing shortage, right? Timing and accuracy of it is everything, right? So if the underwriter has a million questions, if you submit a bank statement, when you submit some dirty draws, as Heisen would say, and it presents, or it causes the underwriter to ask you all these questions, right? Now we got an interview. Now we have to provide proof and evidence and all this other information, when instead we could have just got an easy pass. Come on right on. It's kind of like VIP entry at the club, right? No wait in line. Smooth entry. You get, now you got your closing date. Now you clear the close, right? That's the dream. Clear the close, and then once you at that closing table, you sign those papers. Boom. Now you made history. Yeah,
very important. Very, very important. So bank statements are important. Also, your your cash reserves.
Yes.
And that ties into bank statements. In mortgage language, we call it cash reserves. Before you even qualify for a mortgage, I want you to ask yourself, how much money are you reserving, setting aside? Because I don't really like to call it savings, because I always say you're saving it for two things: to spend it or invest it. So how much are you reserving, setting aside on a consistent basis? And here's the trick of the enemy. It's like what they like to say in the church, right? The trick of the enemy is you will be tricked into thinking because your income is this, you have a lot of deposits coming in, that you can spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you look down at your reserves and see what you've held back for yourself, you have not held back nothing for yourself. So now you're coming and saying, hey, y'all, I want to buy a house. I make $250 a year. And we're not making this up. I'm saying it in a relatable manner, but I see this. I get these calls all the time. People be happy to tell me how much they make, and I listen and I write the notes and this and this. And I be like, how much you got saved? How much you got saved? And very often it's a goose egg. As a matter of fact, me and my son, we watched How to Get Rich. I was telling T, it's on Netflix, How to Get Rich. And there was a lady, really quickly, and we'll come back to this. She had the show's host pick her up and she had the show's host meet her on Rodeo Drive. She pulled up in a Ferrari. She had the this with the this and the and all that. You know how they got it. The this injection, all that. She was stacked, right? Meet me on Rodeo Drive. She explained how this was her favorite place in the world, and long story short, they go to her house, beautiful house, closet, all the designer, the top designer, the exclusive, this and this. She receives $27,000 a month in income. She has $0.99 in her account. No money saved.
$27,000
a month
in income.
Not a year. Some people make that a year.
Yeah.
A month. And her daughter put her on the show because her daughter had sense enough to say, we living like this, but when it's time for you to pay my college tuition, you struggling. So her daughter is the one who signed her up for the show. And I watched it with my son because, I be planting them seeds early. I want you to see. Let me show you something, buddy. So on the outside, you would think, now you're listening, you're like, how are you making $27,000 a month and not even making, she don't work for it. It's alimony and child support. She didn't even work. She getting that $27,000 without working. And she could be working, but that's a story for a different day. But that's coming in and she has $0 saved. So when we talk about your cash reserves, I see it all the time. And you can watch that show. I think it was like episode 1 or 2 on How to Get Rich on Netflix. But when we talk about cash reserves, people literally call here all the time. I had a call last week. I'm not going to go into details. But single woman, no children, over 6 figures, mid to high 6 figures, $0 saved. Yeah. Low debt, only has house note and a car note. All of her money is tied up in the market and her 401ks with her job. But outside, when you get that paycheck and they say this your money in your direct deposit, them bank statements, skid mark.
Yeah. And it's funny you say reserves, because a lot of times people don't know or overlook the fact that the lender or the underwriter, they want to make sure that you have, even after you pay your down payment, right, and your closing costs, right? A lot of times that's all people save up for, but you still have to have at least 3 months of reserves in your account, and reserves are 3 months of your mortgage payments in your account after you make your down payment and closing costs, right? Now, it can be gifted, right? But not all of us have a wealthy grandmother, a wealthy parent that can, gift us some funds to let those funds sit in our account just to get us past underwriting. But that's a strategy. We can talk more about that at a later date. But yeah, so that's when Heisey said reserves, you want to have at least 3 months of your mortgage payment in your account after you pay the down payment and closing costs, right? So that's an additional, it's like a silent expense, so to speak, because you have to have those funds there. It's important.
And the beautiful thing about it is, so this is why we started the show talking about not being discouraged about what's going on, because while what's going on with the housing prices and the interest rate, you're not ready, no way. You're not ready. So flip that, forget that right now. Focus on, let me get my bank statements, or let me get my cash, let me get my reserves, let me change my spending habits. Let me focus on that. So by the time I am ready and I see interest rates start to drop, because it's 2023, we can kind of anticipate that at some point they're going to drop. I didn't say this year, but when they drop, are you going to be ready? And if they don't drop to a place that you would like to buy at, is it a bad thing that you still have reserves?
Never bad that you have reserves. It just shows that you've been loving yourself. That's all. It just shows that you've been loving yourself. Now, a lot of times we misconstrue love with purchasing things, right? We show ourselves love by buying, Louis Vuitton shoes or Prada this and Louis Vuitton that, or whatever the case may be. But really, you loving those brands more than you loving yourself. Why? Because money make the world go round, right? Money can turn frown upside down. So yeah, man, you want to love on yourself, and the more that as you send money to your savings account each month, that's like you giving yourself a hug, right? And as you can do that on a continuous basis, it's like you're giving yourself a kiss, right? It's almost impossible to kiss yourself, but if you send some money to your savings account each month, oh yeah, you definitely kissing yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can do that on an annual basis, where you consistently each month throughout the year, you've added a decent amount to your savings account. I'm not gonna say, because some people can add $2 and say, well, I saved, $2 this month. I wouldn't really count that as a savings. But yeah, so that's like making intercourse with yourself. If you can save consistently for 12 months, and if you're saving, should we get into percentages?
Please, because I was gonna go there. Please, absolutely, get in there. Get in there. Yeah.
So, my favorite book, The Richest Man in Babylon, it spoke on saving 10%, right? If you're saving 10% of your income, that you're doing amazing. I disagree with that 1,000%. I'm a little more aggressive, right? But I would say if you're doing 25, 30%, 35%, I think the Indian culture is the wealthiest culture in the United States, and I think they're saving like in the high 40s, like 47% of their income. And I think Asians are right behind them, and the Asians are like low 40s, and everybody else is behind that.
Tell them I have to call them back in
15 minutes. Please. Yeah, so I would say shoot for, if you're doing 30%, if you're able to save 30% of your income, you're doing amazing. And that is, they don't have to be 30% into a savings account. That could be into your IUL, that could be into your family bank account, because those are savings as well. So if you're saving, a portion of that 30% is going into an IUL, or a portion of that 30% is going into your family bank, or the whole life policy that you got with us. That's also savings, and you can also use those statements to purchase a home as well. That's like, because you have access to that cash, it's liquid cash. But yes,
very important. Very, very important. You said you don't like 10%.
No, that's not enough. And that book is old, so you kind of got inflation come about, you got to update your number. So 10%, that's not. And
if you're just starting out, maybe can they start with 10%, or you ain't give them no pass? You still want them to go right into 15, 20?
No, you can start at 10, you can start at 5, right? But you just have to have that ambition to grow, right? Because 5 not really gonna cut it long term. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the price of milk, cheese, and ground turkey, saving 5% is not even, how the housing prices are going up. So if you want to buy, the average home in South Florida is what, I would say $500,000 right now. So if you're saving 5% of your income, it's going to be hard for you to save up that down payment, right? So the more you're able to save, the better off you are, the better chance you have at actually purchasing the property. And it's going to take some sacrifice, that's just part. If you want muscles, you got to go to the gym.
But you will be like, if you want muscles, you go to the gym. At first, it's hard. You don't want to get up. Yeah. You don't want to up your protein, cut your sugar. Yeah. But then when it's summer season, you taking that shirt off, and them abs is abbing. You like, ooh. Same thing with your savings.
Yeah.
Same thing, because you will get to that point. Now I get to the point where most of my stuff goes into savings and investments.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about this last week, because after I passed the exam, I immediately did the next step that I had to do, and you have to list certain things and stuff like that. And I was like, dang, girl, you right, right? But I don't necessarily see that, because I live off much less than my income.
And that's the key.
And if I'll be like, dang, this all you got. But I forget, because the saving and investing is such a priority for me that now it takes precedence. And so I live off of less than my income, but I know that my savings and my investments are doing what they need to do. At one point in time, it wasn't that way, but it switched. So I'm sharing that with you, because you will get to that point. Once you go from 10% savings to 20% savings, and you put that thing on autopilot, like when money comes in, like I tell Tavares, I don't want to spend my money on it. I want you to spend your money on it.
Yeah.
because my money needs to go to savings and investing. But once you get to that point where you're strengthening that muscle, you've done those bench presses, you've done those curls, those bicep curls, all the hammer curls, you've done all that. Now you on the beach with your shirt off and the hotties are coming. You're like, okay, now I ain't eating a donut.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the gym tomorrow and I'm going at 5 a.m. tomorrow because you see the results that you can get.
Yeah.
Same things happens when you start saving and investing and you make that a priority, but you can't make that a priority unless you know what your plan is. That's why we say you got to focus on your focus. Come back like, okay, I got to save my money. I have to make sure my credit is in order. And let's talk about another thing really quickly. You're just going to skim it a little bit and we'll come back next week and talk about this or some more stuff. But let's talk about ratios.
Okay.
Let's talk about ratios because this is so important. Here's the thing. This ties into credit and savings and income and all this. Because a lot of y'all with a high income, you think you top big Willie dog because you got a high income. But I just listen, you're not. You're not because you're spending all of your income. Ratios. There's something when you are going to qualify for a mortgage. It's called a HER, housing expense ratio. That's your front end ratio and your back end ratio. So your front end ratio looks at your monthly income divided by your housing expense. So this means if you want to qualify for a mortgage that is going to be $3,000 a month or $28,000 a month, depending on the loan terms, because we have standard conventional loan terms, and then we get creative, right? You get creative where you can get higher expense ratios.
Right.
But what they're going to do is they're going to take your housing expense and your income, and they're going to do the math on that and say, okay, this is how much house you can qualify on based on your income. And most people think they're scot-free. But then they look at that back end ratio.
That's with everything included.
That's everything.
Everything included. So not only your housing expense, but your credit cards, your car payment. You went and bought a Maserati, right? You got it fully loaded. It got the leather, the sunroof. It got the, V12 engine under the hood and everything. And that's costing you $1,500 a month to pay for the car. So they counting all of that. Your student loans, right?
That jet ski you had to have because you went to the gym and got the muscles. And now you need the jet ski to match the muscles. And you couldn't rent the jet ski. You had to finance the jet ski. Baby.
So your DTI, your debt to income ratio is really important, right? A lot of times, especially in our community, we solely focus on income, right? How much you make. But I think it's time for us to start shifting our focus to how much are you saving, right? And what are you doing with those savings? Because once you focus on how much you're saving, that automatically reduces the debt that you're paying. Because you're like, you know what? If I have $1,000 car payment, that's reducing the amount that I can save each month. So if I can get this car paid off or not even indulge in $1,000 car payment, that's more money that I get to keep for myself. That's $1,000 of me more loving on myself, right? What else? Something that people credit cards, right? So a lot of times we use credit cards for travel and to buy fancy items, right? So we like, man, this pair of shoes is $1,800, right? Or this flight or this trip will probably be another $4,000, and we just put that on the credit card and we make incremental payments on those purchases, and the interest is tearing us alive, right? The interest is growing and it's growing, and so it started out a $4,000 purchase, but once you're done paying for it, you probably paid $7,000-$8,000. Double the price. And if you focus on what you're saving each year compared to what you're making, then that can keep you in line when it comes to your debts.
That's key. That was big. I hope y'all didn't miss that. Tavares said if you focus on what you're saving every year versus on what you're making every year, that's gonna blow your mind. Because there are a lot of people, and we see it, your income, you're making this every year, but your savings, you ain't saved nothing for yourself.
Right.
And it's hard for you to save it because you have all this debt weighing you down. You have all these things that are now contributing to your DTI, your back end ratio. So the underwriter's like, we looking at your pay stubs, your tax returns. We like, okay, all right, big baller, you making some money, you income, but we pull that credit. And we see this account, the credit cards, because you cannot say, no, I'm not going on this trip. I can't afford to go on the trip. And here's a newsflash. You can't afford to go on the trip if you can't afford to put it on your credit card, get the points, and then pay it off. You can't afford it. You can't afford it. You just can't. I can't afford not to get this car or get this, whatever the things. And there are instances where you can have the car and you can have the trip and you can also still have your savings and your investments.
That's true.
That's ideal.
That's true.
But you have to be mindful of these things when you are qualifying for a mortgage. This does not only relate to purchases, this also relates to refinances, because there are some people who are buying houses right now at these interest rates at 7%, which is great. We're not going to tell you to stop, because guess what? Housing prices, especially in South Florida, are going to continue to go up.
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity to buy a house and get a 7% interest rate now, we can refinance that for you in 3 years. But the thing is, when it comes time to refinance in 3 years, we're going to look at your back end ratio. And we're going to see all the things that you just couldn't say no to. It's on your credit. It's another liability. It's another debt. And what I usually see when it comes to credit cards with people in credit cards is they either fall into one or two categories. The people who use the credit cards responsibly and they say, you know, I am going to only buy what I need. I'm not going to overindulge, and I'm going to pay these credit cards. There are three categories. Pay this credit card bill completely. That's one category. The other category is people saying, listen, I can't afford it. So since I used up all my money, I'm gonna go use somebody else's money. And they're gonna charge me 30% to use their money, but I just gotta have it.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying when you're putting something on a credit card that you cannot afford to pay off. Let me repeat that. You are saying, I used all my money, so now I'm gonna go use yours. I'm gonna use yours, and you're gonna charge me 30% on top of interest, but I just gotta have it. When you break it down that way, you'll start to make different decisions. So that's the second bucket. And then this third bucket of people, child, y'all be calling here you. So y'all want to impress you. Listen, so proud. I use my credit card and I get all my points and I never, ever pay interest. I don't carry a balance. I just use it for the points. And look at all these points I got, and I got free this and free that. And I'm like, okay, all right. How much you spend on your credit card? $10,000 a month in credit card bill. I'm like, hold up. You don't spend $10,000 or $6,000 a month. You don't charge $5,000 to $10,000 a month in 1 month, in 30 days on your credit card, because you are only looking at the fact that you are getting points and that you're paying it off, and then you pay it off at the end of every month. So you good. They ain't getting you. They ain't charging you no interest. But guess what else you're not doing? You're not saving a dollar or a dime.
Yeah.
Whenever somebody comes to me talking about points and how they use, I just listen. I'm like, okay, all right. What? How much you have saved? What you got in your savings account?
And what I like to do is something that helps me out a whole lot is challenging myself, right? So I would inflict monthly challenges. So right now, this month, I did a no alcohol challenge, right? So that's no wine at the end of the night. That's no, if I go out on a date or whatever, no tequila and passion fruit, right? No Casamigos, no Hennessy, none of that, right? For a whole month.
Varieties of ours.
So a whole month. Just and when you challenge yourself, right, you realize how easy it is for you to indulge in that particular challenge, right? Sometimes I won't purchase shoes. I love shoes, right? So I'll say, okay, I'm not buying any shoes for 4 months. So I like cologne, so I'm not gonna buy any fragrances for a while, right? I'm not gonna eat any sweets. I just impose different challenges on myself for a nice time period, at least a month, right? And that helps me out in the area of finance too, because if I'm able to deny something that I like to do for an extended period of time, one, it shows myself that I'm in control of me. So if I can control myself and what I put into my body or what I spend my money on, I can also control myself to save money, right? I can also control myself with, the time that I go to sleep, the time that I wake up, going to the gym. It snowballs into other areas of my life, right? And that's something that, that can, if it helped me out, I'm pretty sure it can help you guys out too.
Definitely. And those monthly challenges, challenging yourself. I call that exercising the discipline muscle.
Yeah, for sure.
Exercising it, because when you exercise that discipline muscle, you may think it's only about one area, but that area is strong, and now you can do what you need to do in other areas. Earlier today, I had to go to my son's school before I did a presentation at a different school to help out at the PTA. And afterwards, we're unpacking and we're putting the stuff up, and there's some stuff on the shelf and stuff, and it's, the ladies like, oh, it's heavy. And I'm putting up there. I'm like, lady, I work out. Like, I know I'm tiny, but I work out. So, and I thought about it in that moment because I exercised my muscles, I was then able to pick that up, put it on the top shelf, one hand, get it down without it being a problem. And so you have to think about you exercising your discipline muscles in one area and how it will positively impact and affect other areas of your life. Because you can achieve the dream to buy your house. You can achieve the dream to refinance your house. You don't have to allow what you see in front of you to weigh you down and to make you feel like it's always going to be this way, because it's not. It's not.
Yeah.
So I think this was great for an intro show.
For sure.
You have something else you want to add?
Nah, we'll save it. I don't want to give them too much too soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a great intro show. So every Monday, right?
Every Monday. I do have some travel coming up. Next Monday I will be here. So
Okay.
next Monday, we'll be back next Monday. And we called it Mortgage Minded Mondays. But as we talked about this, we know that it can quickly venture off where we include other topics. So know that we're going to be talking about mortgages and money and all the things to help you get to where you want to be. Because as we have a passion for educating, we know that there's a lot of chatter out there.
Yep.
And when you log on to the Henderson Financial Group, we want you to log on knowing that you're going to be educated and empowered. You're going to be educated, empowered, and then redirected. Like, let me silence that noise. Okay, I am going to achieve my dream. Let me think about it in a certain way. I can't wait to talk to you all about all the people who come to me with this dream to buy a house, and I get them to buy an investment property first instead of buying a house, and just how their life changes. And they're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Why didn't anybody tell me that? But we'll save that for the show.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you all so much for joining us today. If you want to reach us, you can always call the office at 305-825-1444. Our website is www.the Financial Group. If you want a mortgage consultation, you can visit our website. Click on Tavares's profile. Tavares has been doing this. Tavares is doing mortgages late at night. So if somebody called on a Sunday, I had the receptionist call that the message came through. Such and such had a scheduled call with Tavares on a Sunday. Tavares is on it. So he will get your purchase, your refinance, your reverse mortgage, your home equity line of credit. And he does a home equity line of credit in a very unique way that has you pay off your mortgage in lightning speed.
Yep.
So if you're right now ready, if you're like, okay, I just want to talk about mortgages, I want a little bit more insight, you can go right to our website, click on Tavares's picture, and there's a scheduling link to him, and you can get your mortgage consultation with Tavares.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right, y'all. Anything you want to add?
No, that's everything. So we appreciate you guys' time. Like it, share it with somebody. If you in the break room, right, and your coworker said, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house, send them to the video or send this video to them, share it with them. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. Because and speaking of that, people need more good, positive information.
Yeah. And guidance.
Last week I had to tell people, it seemed like back to back, what you see on the internet, please don't tell me about what you're seeing on the internet. Please, that's not that. Well, I heard this. Please, no, you're with the professional now. Please don't tell me about. So when you encounter some information that is positive and that is being said by professionals who are fully licensed and been in business for 30 years, share the information, because you may not know who has a dream of buying a house. You may not know who wants to refinance their house. You may not know who is having problems paying their taxes and insurance. We got to talk about reverse mortgages.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I was studying, I knew what a reverse mortgage was and the purpose was, but I was so happy to see that the purpose of a reverse mortgage as defined by the regulatory agency is to help seniors who are unable to meet ends.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that's the purpose of the reverse.
Oh, yeah.
They said, we're going to give you some help.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, but there is such a negative stigma from uneducated people who don't understand. The people said, we're going to help y'all out.
Yes.
This for you. That's why you got to be over 62 to get it.
Yes.
We don't want you to be homeless.
Yes.
We don't want your roof caving in.
Oh, yeah.
We want you to be taken care of. Use this asset.
Yes.
But what happens is you listen to your uneducated children, your uneducated neighbors, the people who can't help you pay your roof. They can't help you get your homeowner's insurance. You listen to these people with their fear mongering. And you don't do the reverse mortgage. Now y'all see why I got licensed. Because I'm so passionate about it. I'm like, I got to talk about it, but I got to talk about it. And I want them to say, you're unlicensed. You cannot be talking about this. So that's why I got licensed. But when I read that Tavares, I was like, oh no, baby.
Yeah. And everybody has something negative to say about it. I was explaining reverse mortgages in the living room at my grandma's house, right? And everybody face turned looking at me sideways, right? And I'm like, because most of them in the room was around reverse mortgage age, right? And I wasn't trying to sell it to them. I was just trying to inform them on it, whether they come to me to get it or go to somebody else, that's fine. But I just wanted to give them an option that can help them out, right? So as they're entering retirement, some of them are already in retirement, some of my aunties and uncles and stuff like that. And they was like, well, my neighbor, they lost their house to a reverse mortgage. Well, did your neighbor tell you that they didn't pay the property taxes either, right? Because a lot of times people have a negative experience with reverse mortgage because they didn't keep their end of the deal, right? And you have a responsibility. You're not obligated to make any principal and interest payments to the bank. However, you got to pay your property taxes and you have to pay your homeowner's insurance, right? And a lot of times, reverse mortgage can come with you having a line of credit, right? And you tapping into this line of credit and you're going to go buy a Cadillac, and and you're not obligated to pay this money back, right? And you just forget that, oh my God, I forgot to pay the property taxes and the homeowner's insurance. But you got that Cadillac though, right? And the house get foreclosed on, but you owe the reverse mortgage. They took my house from me. They didn't take the house. They don't want the house. They don't want the house, right?
You sound like me. They're not in the real estate business.
They don't want
They're
the
in
house.
the lending business.
Right.
They want the interest.
Right. So if anything, they want you to stay in the house for as long as possible. Why? Because you're a safe bet. You're a safe bet.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, so that's we'll definitely be speaking on it and speaking more and educating more on reverse mortgages, all different type of mortgages, right?
So many misconceptions.
Most definitely.
My goodness.
But that's what we step in.
All right, let me simmer down. All right, it's been a great show. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next Monday for Mortgage Minded Mondays. Until then, peace.
Y'all take care.